Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We want to welcome everyone globally to this Saturday morning Bhagavad-gītā As It Is reading and discussion from the authorized books and translations of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. And we do stress this as a key part of our program because this is the essence of Guru Tattva, the truth of the spiritual master. That the sound from the transparent via media, the pure devotee, is directly coming from Krishna. And Prabhupada demonstrated throughout his manifested presence the transcendental position that he was in. And this is not something cheap. This is something that's very rare in spiritual circles, to meet a pure devotee and to be part of his mission is even more extraordinary to get the opportunity to actually understand that you're a servant of a pure devotee is a rare opportunity as well. It's not cheap, because there are so many different gurus everywhere. There are gurus in India. Even Prabhupada mentions it in many of his lectures. There's so many Sahajiya gurus, imposters, fake gurus, because they are not pure devotees of Krishna. The status of pure devotee is something that is granted by the mercy of the Guru. And in this case, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami was blessed by his Guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, to spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya throughout the world. And he was successful. Nowadays, we have an extension of that movement, and in the form of the ISKCON Society, they're simply using the tools, which is understandable. They're using the tools, the temples, and momentum that Srila Prabhupada created in his mission to develop their own individual guru cults. This is the reality of the situation without question. Now, a lot of people will, ask us, why are you bringing this up? And the answer is because the truth must be spoken. This is not to particularly target people like Keith Ham or Bhakti Charu or Devamrita or Tamal Krishna. We're not targeting these, and there's a whole list of them. There's lots of information online that you can go to for reference. We're not targeting them. We're explaining what really happened in terms of their ambition after Prabhupada's departure. And it was not only after, it was before he even left. People were splitting the world up into different sections and deciding who would be in charge of this zone, who would be in charge of that zone. And in this way, they had a chance to establish themselves in the guru business. It's a very profitable business. I've been in a lot of businesses. All of you Prabhus don't know my history. You might know something. And I'm not here to talk about it, but I've been in a lot of different businesses, some successful and some that failed, etc. So business is the nature of people that want to establish themselves in this world for personal motive. Personal motive. Not for anything else. For example, you see all these people that are in business, in the entertainment business, which I'm somewhat familiar with. Do you see the collection of cars they've got? It's extraordinary. You go see, you go on these tours on the Facebook reels. They take you into these garages where they have like $20 million in cars. You can't even drive them all. They don't. They just have them there on display for their own personal self-aggrandizement. So like that, we've got people in the ISKCON movement. They're on planes almost every week. Go to India, come back from India, go to Toronto. From Toronto, go to Montreal. From Montreal, go to Vancouver. From Vancouver, go to Alachua. From Alachua, come back up to Toronto. From Toronto, fly to Cuba. From Cuba, fly back to Toronto. From Toronto, fly to South America. From South America, fly back up to Toronto. From Toronto, fly to India. From India, fly back to Toronto. Huh? Excuse me? Who can do that? Oh, if you're a celebrity. If you're some celebrity, Mark Wahlberg has his own jet. My colleague, Rasta Phil, he flies with Mark Wahlberg all over the world constantly, going here and there and living the movie star lifestyle. This is not the business of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava, he takes solitude in service. Very simple. You chant your rounds. You cook your prasadam. You share your prasadam with other people. You give people a chance to hear the philosophy. You cultivate new people. You try to develop them. It's not easy to make devotees. You have to work at it. Not walk around and pretend in the garb of a great sannyasi that you're some gifted Uttama-ācārya and here, come and take initiation from me. This is all pure nonsense. And it's been recorded historically and proven to be nonsense. And Prabhupada didn't come here for that nonsense. Actually, he came on a very dangerous journey, as we've been reading in the Prabhupada diary, the Jaladuta diary. Here it is here. And he had just undertaken this trip from India. Oh, yeah. Quite an adventure. Really, it really reminds me of a young man taking up a journey like that. It's when you were young, Yaśodā, you could do anything. It was the way it was. I can remember one time here in Hamilton that me and my friends, we just hopped the freight train. We went down by the railroad tracks and jumped on the freight train and just started, and it was dangerous. And we ended up, 100 miles from Hamilton. And then I was stuck. I had to figure out, how am I going to get back? I had no money. So like that, the crazy adventurous spirit that we had. And I'm sure all of you, when you were youthful, were like that. You would do anything, just join the army or do whatever. So Prabhupada, even though he was 70 years old, he had lived in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. He undertook this extraordinary adventure with nothing, like a youthful, energetic, enthusiastic servant of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And let's pray, all of us here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association, that we can also develop that same enthusiasm, even for some of us older men, to get up and get going and serve the spiritual master in this last phase of your life. This is a problem that we see with our God brothers. Nobody will do anything except, live the life of a bhajananandi. This is what's going on. So here we have, I see the Vincats on tour in South India with the Mexican devotees, which I'll be seeing soon when I go down to Mexico. I've been invited to go to one of my friends from Buffalo. He's opened up a $1 million retreat, yoga retreat center that we plan to use for our events with PDA, Prabhupada Disciples Association and Hare Krishna Society, so that we can come together and have some, personal association and cook prasadam for each other and have kirtans and chant japa together and feel the energy of good association. There's nothing better, Yaśodā, than good association. I loved it in Toronto with all the great devotees that we had back in the day. that were very sincere and enthusiastic, I must say. There was like 30, 40 of us. And we have hundreds of people with our group, hundreds. And by the way, Yaśodā, I wanted to mention it to you and to our group. We've been conducting these classes for over a year now. I was looking at the YouTube channel, and I reviewed it last night, and we have tens of thousands of views, and all kinds of new people have come and gone and had an experience with us, and we thank them for joining us. And we do appreciate all of you that are coming regularly as part of your sadhana program to get association, Shravanam Kirtanam, and to hear and chant about the glories of Krishna in that association. Let's just read a few sections from the diary. Rupesh, do you have the pictures? I sent them to Vinkat. I don't have your connection, I'm sorry. But anyways, this is Sunday, September 19th. Today is the 38th day of our journey, and we reached New York port at 12:30 p.m., about 3 hours later than the scheduled time. So Prabhupada arrived officially in New York on that day. It was a Sunday. And then we've got a picture of the building where he was staying in Butler, Pennsylvania. So when he got to New York, he had someone assist him to take a bus to Butler, Pennsylvania. And they had him stay at the YMCA building because the Agarwal family did not have accommodations for him. So he was put up at the YMCA building in Butler, Pennsylvania. A typical room there. They show a beautiful picture of it because there was no place for Prabhupada to sleep at the Agarwal home. They rented a room for him there, and he would walk the 6 or 7 blocks to their house for his daily meals and other activities. On October 18th, he left Butler and went back to New York for wider preaching opportunities. So he was, ambitious to get things going. So he didn't last long there. I guess it was just basically over a month, from September 19th to October 18th. The dust jacket of Srila Prabhupada's first printing of his Srimad Bhagavatam, he had arranged to bring 200 of his 3-volume sets with him, and these were loaded into the Jaladuta in Cochin, as noted in his August 22nd diary entry. It was these volumes that Srila Prabhupada was selling to bookstores and interesting parties in New York. So he came with a mission for book distribution. So what we'll do is we'll end with this particular section and move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, the bhajan by Srila Prabhupada. So chant along. Sometimes I see that video. It's changing from day to day, Yaśodā, but the one from New York City, I see Prabhupada there. I see Jagadish in the audience. By Krishna's mercy, I was there. That is 1972, and I was downstairs working in the kitchen before I took second initiation from Srila Prabhupada personally back then in 1972. So I hope he plays that again because I missed it. I was downstairs serving, working. All glories to the Sankirtan movement and the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society membership. And let's play the Jaya Radha Madhava prayers. Prabhu, the one who's managing our program today. Rupesh, I believe it is.
side. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasoda-nandana Brajajana-nandana. Yasoda-nandana Brajajana-nandana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami to Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami to Bhaktivedanta ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Naram Cheva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, after offering respectful obeisances, 1. To the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2. To the Nara-Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3. To the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4. To Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. As it is given by Srila Prabhupada, we will be reading the Sanskrit verses in the introduction to the Bhagavad-gītā on page number 1. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shriyurave Namaham Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahaguna Raghunatan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaguna Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Ghorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha Kripa sindhubhya evacha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Vanchak Sri Krishna Chaitanyam Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. It should be noted we are reading from the original 1972 Macmillan edition, the original non-edited, non-adulterated version. Today we will be reading from chapter 10, text number 10, all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Chapter 10. I will read each line of Sanskrit and you may repeat after me. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite tesham unto them satata yuktanam always engage bhajatam in devotional service pritipurvakam in loving ecstasy dadami I give buddhi yogam real intelligence tam that yena by which mam unto me upayanti come te they. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Purport. In this verse, the word buddhi yogam is very significant. We may remember that in the second chapter, the Lord instructing Arjuna said that he had spoken to him of many things and that he would instruct him in the way of buddhi yoga. Now, buddhi yoga is explained. Buddhi yogam itself is action in Krishna consciousness. That is the highest intelligence. Buddhi means intelligence and yogam means mystic activities or mystic elevation. When one tries to go back home, back to Godhead, and takes fully to Krishna consciousness in devotional service, his action is called buddhi yogam. In other words, buddhi yogam is the process by which one gets out of the entanglement of this material world. The ultimate goal of progress is Krishna. People do not know this. Therefore, the association of devotees and a bona fide spiritual master are important. One should know, move down the page, one should know that the goal is Krishna, and when the goal is assigned, then the path is slowly but progressively traversed, and the ultimate goal is achieved. When a person knows the goal of life, but is addicted to the fruits of activities, he is acting in karma yoga. When he knows that the goal is Krishna, but he takes pleasure in mental speculations to understand Krishna, he is acting in jnana yoga. And when he knows the goal and seeks Krishna completely in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, he is acting in bhakti yoga or buddhi yoga, which is the complete yoga. This complete yoga is the highest perfectional stage of life. A person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but still, if he's not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is intelligent enough, he will make progress on the path of self-realization. If one is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to him. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadhyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Adadhana Strinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pekshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shat Karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. But before we start discussing this verse, I just want to make a brief note. We have some devotees in South India who are going on a Sankirtan party in the Tirumalai Hills in many of the sacred spots. And Venkat Bhatta Prabhu has joined the party. These are devotees from Mexico, Krishna Kishore Das, Girivara Devi Dasi, and some other brahmachari. They're going around to all the sacred places and chanting. So this is very auspicious, very, very auspicious. In Italy, northern Italy, we have Vijay Pandit, who is on book distribution, very nicely preaching and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, also very auspicious. And then we know of many other devotees that are conducting similar preaching activities, similar Samkirtan activities, and we offer our respects and our obeisances to all these great souls. Coming to this verse, this is a very important verse. Also starting from chapter 10, text number 8 through text number 11, Srila Prabhupada described that these verses are the most important verses, the 4 essential verses of the Bhagavad-gītā. Now, this is quite significant because there are so many verses in the Bhagavad-gītā, but these particular verses are considered very, very important. Very important. So devotees should learn these verses. It should be practiced to remember them and learn how to explain them just like the way that Srila Prabhupada explains these verses. In other words, Srila Prabhupada is very kindly explaining these verses for our understanding of the Krishna conscious philosophy. We see in various scriptures there are so many references to Lord Krishna protecting his devotees. Everyone is familiar with the story in the Srimad Bhagavatam of Gajendra. Gajendra was a big elephant who ventured into the water. Now, as everybody knows, in the water, many of these tropical countries, there are crocodiles or alligators. Now, those crocodiles, this is their territory. They can be very dangerous. So the elephant went into the water, and the crocodile grabbed the elephant, was going to kill him. And the elephant prayed to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu came and protected his devotee, Gajendra, that's the name of the elephant, and used his Sudarshan chakra to cut the crocodile. Of course, this crocodile had reached that position, that particular body, on account of a curse. He was released. The crocodile was released from that position, that unfortunate position, simply by the mercy of Lord Vishnu. Krishna protects his devotees. In one of our previous discussions, we were explaining how Draupadi in the Mahabharata had been waged by the Pandavas. The Pandavas had lost their kingdom, they had lost their weapons, they had lost everything, and then they waged their wife. Of course, that was somewhat inappropriate, because after they had lost everything, how could they wage their wife? But they waged the wife, and the wife had been lost. So Karna and Dushasana tried to disrobe Draupadi. And Draupadi expressed very nicely, Pratignatava Govinda name bhakta pranashyati. Iti samsmritya pranam sandarayamyam. That my dear Lord Krishna, Pratignatava Govinda, it is your firm vow that your devotee, name bhakta pranashyati, that your devotee will never perish. And simply by remembering this promise, iti samsmritya, I maintain my life. This is a very nice example of very deep devotion. Both Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Sanatan Goswami quote that verse in the Hari Bhakti Vilas as one of the prayers that should be offered to Lord Krishna after one does the deity worship. So this is very, very nice examples. There are so many other examples, but these are a few examples of the kind of devotional sentiment that devotees have. A devotee is not a merchant. That a merchant, if you go to a shop or a store, you pay a certain price, you get a certain goods, you get certain services. We're not supposed to pray for material benefit. We see in the Shikshastakam of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nadhanam Najanam Nasundarim, that I don't want followers, I don't want wealth, I don't want beautiful women, I don't want to be a very famous poet. What do you want? Everybody in the material world is mad after these things. Janma Aishwarya Shuta Shribi. Good birth, good opulence, beauty, education, money. Everybody is hankering. The whole world is revolving around these material hankerings. But if you don't want these things, what do you want? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains, Mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhaktiraitu kitvai. That birth after birth, I simply desire causeless devotion to you, the opportunity to engage in causeless devotional service. We often have read from Srila Prabhupada's diary about Srila Prabhupada's poetry on the boat, the Jaladuta boat, on his way to America. We have read that Prabhupada suffered 2 heart attacks, and he composed some very, very sweet devotional poetry on the boat. And he's praying to Krishna that you've brought me here, so now you can make me dance. You can me succeed or I can fail. You just make me dance, make me dance. In other words, he's completely, totally relying on Krishna and the order of his spiritual master, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. That is the example of perfect devotion. Recently, I was discussing with another devotee during Srila Prabhupada's presence, as his preaching activities increased all over the world, Srila Prabhupada had different encounters with some of his contemporaries, some of his godbrothers in India. And very few of them practically, factually helped. Oh, there was some talk, there were some letters that were written and some eulogy that, oh, that you're such a great preacher, all of these things. Well, that was nice. Good. But practically speaking, hardly any of them did anything to factually help him, to physically come to America and help Srila Prabhupada preach. Prabhupada requested all of them. We know the history documented from Prabhupada's own statements, from Prabhupada's own letters, from Prabhupada's own conversations of his preaching attempts to establish the Krishna Consciousness movement. We see when we read Prabhupada's diary, it was a struggle. No practical place to live, no money, no help, no institution. And he kept trying again and again and again, kept preaching, kept extending his visa. Prabhupada complained. He had a conversation with the famous poet Allen Ginsberg. Allen Ginsberg told Srila Prabhupada, "You're very conservative, Swamiji." Prabhupada said, "No, you don't understand. I'm not conservative." And Prabhupada explained, when I first came to New York, I was living in a place and they were keeping meat in the refrigerator. I am not conservative. Prabhupada was very strict himself, very disciplined, very controlled. One time in 1973, Guru Kripa Swami and myself, we had come to see Prabhupada in Los Angeles. That's at the end of December 1973, in Srila Prabhupada's room on Watsika Avenue in Los Angeles, California. And as part of the conversations, Guru Kripa Swami gave Prabhupada $60,000 or $70,000 check of Samkirtan money we had collected. And Prabhupada, as part of these discussions, asked Guru Kripa, so in the morning, what time do you people get up? What do you do? I said, well, we get up 3:30, 3:45, take a cold bath and put tilak and do the program and chant. And Prabhupada says, oh, I used to do that at Radha Damodar party, even in the winter, take cold bath in the morning. It's like, whoa. I don't know if any one of you has ever been in Vrindavan in the winter, but it's pretty cold. Sometimes it gets close to the freezing point. So Prabhupada went through a lot of austerities to establish this movement. Then Prabhupada kept talking. He says, so what do you eat? If you're traveling, what do you eat? And Guru Kripa explained, well, we have a little stove. We in the van, we have a little stove, Coleman stove, and we cook khichdi. We have some rice and dal, and sometimes we put a little cauliflower or something, and some salt, pepper, and turmeric, and that's it. And Prabhupada says, oh, you know, khichdi is the food of sadhus. If you eat khichdi every day, you'll never get sick, and you'll live a long life. And Prabhupada says, if you take that bath, a cold bath in the morning during Brahma Muhurta, you will prolong your life. The point is that Prabhupada went to such tremendous austerities. I mean, to come on a boat with 2 heart attacks, but yet he was unfazed by his determination. Some of you may have seen that picture of Srila Prabhupada on the boat. He's laying down, and Lord Krishna is massaging his forehead. Now think of this verse here. Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. He says, to those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. This is the perfect explanation of Srila Prabhupada's devotion to Krishna. 24 hours a day engaged, constantly engaged, never stopped. Just this week, we had a conversation with a good friend in Australia, Balaram Prabhu, and he was explaining that when Srila Prabhupada came to Australia, of course, we also experienced this when Prabhupada came to America, to Canada, to India, everywhere, but he was explaining the story how Srila Prabhupada came to Australia. And Srila Prabhupada came out of the airplane after a very, very long flight. Now, bear in mind, Prabhupada was a little advanced in age. So Prabhupada comes out of the airplane, he greets everybody, goes to the temple, he sits on a Vyasasana, he gives a lecture, goes to his room, he receives guests, and then he's talking and preaching to the guest. And this goes on for hours and hours, one engagement after another engagement after another engagement. It's like a preaching machine. Srila Prabhupada never stopped. He was showing by examples to his disciples and followers and students how we should engage in promoting and preaching the Krishna Consciousness movement. Of course, we cannot imitate Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is a specially empowered personality. Just last night, Vishwakarma Prabhu gave me a class. I was talking to him, and he was reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, how the Acharya is personally embracing Krishna. Krishna Lingita Vigraha, that is the Sanskrit term that Prabhupada used, how the Acharya is called Paramahamsa Thakur, a very beautiful purport that very clearly explains the unique, special, empowered position of the Acharya like Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is actually indirectly speaking about himself, but it's done in a very tactful, very gracious way. Now, it was our good fortune that we experienced that with Srila Prabhupada. But Prabhupada also explained that he was not going to be physically with us forever, that at one point he would depart, and he wanted the devotees to pick up the mission. Pick up the mission. The other day, somebody sent me one of these clips on one of these Prabhupada Disciples Association chat. And it was a clip explaining the benefit of people getting a book, reading the book, or touching the book, or keeping one of Prabhupada's book in their homes. There are so many different categories. And Prabhupada's, anything they do, they will benefit. This is the potency of the message of the pure devotee. Very potent. It used to be the custom in India previous to the printing age, that they used to rich men used to give a copy of the Bhagavatam as a charity, as a gift. Because they know in the Shastra, they say, if you give a gift of the Bhagavatam, you will get tremendous benefit and go back to Godhead. So they would engage a scribe to write the entire Bhagavatam, professional scribes, to give the benefit, the great gift of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada used these modern telecommunications, basically, to spread the message, to get books distributed. That is why it is so important for devotees not to adulterate his teachings, not to adulterate his books, not to change his words, just to faithfully render the message as it was received. This is a very important point that occasionally seems to fall on deaf ears with certain persons. So hopefully those who are a little intelligent, sober, and thoughtful, they will get this point. There's a very important point in the third paragraph of this purport on page 507. Prabhupada says, a person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization, but still, if he is not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion render all kinds of services. He should perform some sort of work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If a devotee is intelligent enough, he will make progress on the path of self-realization. Now, this is quite significant because we see sometimes some persons may not be intelligent enough to utilize the tools and instructions that have been given to make spiritual advancement. But Krishna always helps. This verse is very important, that and the other following verse also. The point is to be engaged in Krishna's service, to get connected with the message of His Divine Grace. And there's really no excuse now with modern telecommunications. Even with a cell phone, you can get Prabhupada's Japa tape, Prabhupada Bhagavad-gītā class, Srimad Bhagavatam class, Prabhupada's bhajan, Prabhupada singing Hare Krishna. So many different nectarian connection with Srila Prabhupada. In the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada explains that the voice of a pure devotee is very powerful because it is in direct contact with these saffron mercy particles that are strewn over the lotus feet of the Lord. Very, very important point, to get communication with the transcendental mercy of the voice of the pure devotee, or reading the book. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana, for your explanation of this verse, which is so sweet and relishable by the devotees, because Krishna consciousness is acquired through three means: Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. And the Guru, the bona fide spiritual master, is the mercy representative of Krishna. And for those persons, as you were discussing in your lecture, that got the association of Srila Prabhupada personally, they were truly blessed with that opportunity to hear the message of Bhagavatam from him. And I know a lot of members of our association lament that they never had the same blessing or mercy that we did. But Prabhupada, I was on a morning walk in Toronto, and one of our devotees was at the beaches in Toronto. And I took Prabhupada around the city, by the way, when he was visiting. My strategy was, I figured, if I can take Prabhupada to these different spots, like the Parliament buildings, he circumambulated the Parliament buildings with us. And we took him to Don Valley Parkway, and we took him to the beaches like that. That it would bless the city by the imprint of his feet. Because wherever the pure devotee walks, that becomes sanctified by that association because of the transcendental nature of that person, who is non-different than Krishna, by the way. Because Krishna manifests through his pure devotee. Guru, Shastra, his books. These books. And on that walk, Prabhupada said, I will never leave you. Shori Das asked him, don't ever leave us, Prabhupada. Stay in Toronto forever. Huh. It was a nice gesture. And of course, we were all hoping he would say this. Oh yes, I'll stay in Toronto. But this wasn't his mission. But he said, I'll never leave you. You can find me in my books. Prabhupada transmitted his message in sound vibration from his transcendental position. Because think about it, you're with people, they talk, you get some information, but the real information from the pure devotee is contained in his sound vibration that we've captured in his lectures, in his books, in his morning walks. This is called Vani, incarnation. And he's with us, everyone. Understand that. This is not a whimsical process. Whimsical. A very great movement was destroyed, he mentions in a lecture, because of whimsical behavior. That people do not accept transcendental philosophy as a means of liberation from the material world. They're fools, rascals, because they cannot accept, just like Vijaya Pandit. Prabhupada explains on his tape that when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna's present on your lips, dancing on your lips in his transcendental form. Can you understand that? So by understanding how God is non-different than his name and his form, and in this way, you can make advancement through transcendental sound. The sound of Krishna and the name of Krishna and the form of Krishna are identical. So the same way, Prabhupada is identical in his sound vibration to his form. It's actually the way of the spiritual process, everyone. So do not lament. Lament if you waste your time not reading these books. That's your mistake. Prabhupada is present in his books. And I was mentioning to Yaśodā, there's a dynamic quality to it that can only be appreciated by those people that do it. We have so much time. And unfortunately, we do not use our time all intelligently in a way. Sometimes we just waste time. But when we do apply ourselves to the reading process, we get insights which are beyond the material plane of existence. This is not mundane. We're filled with mundane information, but transcendental information is like nectar pouring from the spiritual world into our ears and into our hearts. It's a very special thing. And I'm going to, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu requested me last night to read this short section from Chaitanya Charitamrita to all of you, so that you can get an idea. I'm moving ahead with the reading. So I'm in Madhya Lila chapter 9, or volume 9, chapter 25, text number 9 for future reference for all of you if you want to go to that. That's Madhya Lila, volume 9, chapter 25, text 9. And I'll go to the purport here, and I'll read it for you. Maybe it'll come up on the screen. We have some technical difficulty, possibly because Vinkat's on the road on Parikram. In this age of Kali, real religious propaganda should induce people to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is possible for someone who is especially empowered by Krishna. Keyword, empowered. No one can do this without being especially favored by Krishna. Nobody. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments in this regards in his Anubhasa, wherein he quotes a verse from Narayan Samhita. Dwaparya Janer Vishnu, Pancharatres tu Kevale, Kalo tu Nama Matrena, Pujayate Bhagavan Hari. In the Dwapara Yuga, devotees of Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, and Krishna rendered devotional service according to the principles of Pancharatrika. In this age of Kali, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped simply by the chanting of his holy names. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur then comments, here it is again, without being empowered by the direct potency of Krishna to fulfill his desire, and without being especially favored by the Lord, no human being can become the spiritual master of the whole world. He certainly cannot succeed by mental concoction, which is not meant for devotees or religious people. Only mental concoction. You take a philosophy and then you remanufacture it by your own personal speculation. That's going on in the ISKCON movement in a big way. Only an empowered personality can distribute the holy name of the Lord and enjoin all fallen souls to worship Krishna. By distributing the holy name of the Lord, he cleanses the hearts of the most fallen people. Therefore, he extinguishes the blazing fire of the material world. When Prabhupada came to America, there were no devotees. Who started the chanting? Vijaya Pandit. Who started it? In Tompkins Square Park. It was Prabhupada, period. None of these people knew anything. Keith Ham, Hayagriva, all these people that surrounded him from these different degraded situations, all of a sudden became enlightened by his mercy. Nobody else. You just don't jump up and become a pure devotee. Not only that, he broadcast the shining brightness of Krishna's effulgence throughout the world. Such an acharya or spiritual master should be considered non-different from Krishna. Non-different from Krishna. That is, he should be considered the incarnation of Lord Krishna's potency. Now, who's speaking this? Not me, please. It's Prabhupada telling us the reality here, which you should connect the dots on. Such a personality of Krishna Langita Vigraha, that is, he is always embraced by the Supreme Personality of God as Krishna. And we know by studying his history, Prabhupada's history, that this is the case. And Yaśodā politely said, or properly said, that Prabhupada was very polite in this purport, not to mention himself, but connect the dots. Such a person is above the considerations of the Varnashram institution. He is the guru or spiritual master for the entire world, a devotee on the topmost platform, the Mahabhagavat stage, and a Paramahansa Thakur, a spiritual form only fit to be addressed as Paramahansa or Thakur. Nonetheless, there are many people who are just like owls, but never open their eyes to see the sunshine. These owlish personalities are inferior to the Mayavadi sannyasis, who cannot see the brilliance of Krishna's favor. They are prepared to criticize the person engaged in distributing the holy name all over the world and following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who wanted Krishna consciousness preached in every town and city. These God brothers of his, he doesn't mention them, but that's who they are. The owls, these owlish personalities. And we have the same thing in ISKCON Gaudiya Math Part 2. Yaśodā-nandana, please. Microphone.
I got that. Very important point that's been raised here. I just want to read here on this same verse that we're just reading today. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 51. Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 51. Srila Prabhupada explained, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, appeared before the Queen as a Brahmana. But why did he not appear in his original form as Sri Krishna? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that unless one is very highly elevated in loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot see him as he is. Nonetheless, if one sticks to the principles enunciated by the spiritual master, somehow or other he is in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the Lord is in the heart, he can advise a sincere disciple from within. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad-gītā 10:10. Tisham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. In conclusion, if a disciple is very serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master, he immediately associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Vani or Vapu. This is the only secret of success in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I thought this purport is very revealing from Prabhupada's perspective about what real association means. Actually, if anybody is interested, if you go on the internet on Vanipedia and you type this verse, Tesham Satata Yuktanam, there are so many references from different purports of Srimad Bhagavatam where Prabhupada analyzes and discusses this exact point of associating with Krishna, getting enlightenment from Krishna, getting inspiration from Krishna. And Prabhupada it's discussing this from so many different angles. It's quite amazing. It's like super transcendental nourishment. Very, very important. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Haribo, Dharma Bhavana. We have him here from Dallas, Texas. And we've been calling on him on regular occasions to share his insights on Krishna consciousness and these discussions that we're having. Maybe he could give us his realizations this morning at the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is class here online.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Kind of as a follow-up what we're speaking about today. I was thinking on one hand, over the last 50 years, there's been so many disturbances. We were discussing this yesterday with some other devotees. But if we become too sad, then our service becomes interrupted. And on the other hand, we can see how Krishna is really in control. And one advantage now is that these Zoom programs give us a chance for association. It's really such an advantage so that we can get energy, enthusiasm. We can feel good about ourselves and really good about how Krishna is giving us great opportunities. And I wanted to also read just one part from Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Please.
This is in this age of Kali, there was no alternative. There was no alternative. There was no alternative for spiritual progress in the holy name, the holy name of the Lord. In purport, for progress in spiritual life, the Shastras recommend meditation and Satya Yoga, sacrifice for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu, and Treta Yoga, and gorgeous temple worship of the Lord in the temple in Dwarpa Yoga. But in the age of Kali, one can achieve spiritual progress only by chanting the holy name of the Lord. This is confirmed in various scriptures. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are many references to this fact. In 12th canto, it is said, Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Parambrajet. In the age of Kali, there are many faults, for people are subjected to many miserable conditions. Yet in this age, there was one great benediction. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can be freed from all material contamination and thus be elevated to the spiritual world. Anyway, thank you, Haribo.
Thank you, Prabhu. All glories to your service in Dallas. We have Jonas Priya, and we're going to call on after him, Sweta C. Saxena as well in Ethiopia to share her realizations. But first, we're going to go to Hawaii with Jonas Priya and ask the Prabhu to share his realizations today at the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is readings and discussions.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thanks to this wonderful group that religiously conducts these programs. And we're given this chance to awaken our love for Krishna Yeah, this is a 10:10, very important verse, and like it says here, we might have a spiritual master, we might belong to organization, but still, if we're not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna is so kind that from within, simply if we manage to stay engaged in devotional service and associate with the devotees and have this be a constant thing. Krishna consciousness is not a part-time business. There's many devotees that are part-time devotees, or some just like the social part, or some just like the prasadam, and that's okay. As is mentioned here, that Krishna sees that the person is hanging around the devotees, then Krishna will help us simply if we associate with the devotees. Just like you might not be a car thief, but if you start hanging out with car thieves, you might be the lookout man or just driving a car, and before you know, you'll be stealing cars. So in the same way, if we hang around the bodies, what's going to happen? We're going to start acting like a devotee. And Prabhupada gave us such an amazing process, and he didn't leave anything out, not a thing. Gave us a complete package. All we have to do is simply hang in there, pray to Krishna, please, please, please keep me in the association of the devotees. Please make my rascal mind surrender. And we engage. How do we tame the rascal mind? By chanting the holy name every day. Bhaktivedanta said you have to beat your mind every morning. Till the day will come that the mind now knows we're going to beat him with a shoe. Then the mind stays away. So I don't want to get beat up. So this is the secret. Somehow remain enthusiastic, because if we lose this enthusiasm, then everything is very difficult. Devotional service becomes more of a challenge than a pleasure. So if we simply serve Krishna without any expectation of anything, we just want to serve Krishna. Why? Because he's so wonderful, because he's so beautiful, because he's so kind. He's coming from within, giving instructions. It says here, even if we are stupid and we're not taking advantage of this process, but somehow, by Prabhupada's mercy, we hang in there. And we've seen this with many people, that eventually people do come out of this situation. When I was in the temple, there was a devotee, he was so spaced out. His only duty was to sweep the prasadam room, and it'll take him 2 hours to clean the room. He was so gone. And within 3 months, he became the #1 distributor in the San Diego temple. Why? Because he hung in there, and Krishna, as it's mentioned here, Krishna is just waiting for us to make our move. But we have to make that move. We have to say, Krishna, from this day on, I'm yours. Please do whatever you want with me. But please, please, don't take me away from the association of Guru and Krishna. Haribol.
Beautiful. Fabulous. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Deep insights into our philosophy for the benefit of all of the members here who are assembled at these classes to get association. So we were talking about Guru, Shastra, Sadhu. So Sadhu, the association of like-minded people, like-minded individuals who have understood the philosophy the way Prabhupada preached it to us. Do not change anything. This is the problem that's taken place. I put some posts up on the Prabhupada Disciples Association pages. So if you're a member of that group, you'll be able to see these posts. And we've had hundreds of thousands of views. Hundreds of thousands of views on this page in our efforts to be able to give this information to people without adulteration. This is our purpose. We're not here for anything else except to take a humble role to serve our spiritual master. And by his grace, we're all blessed. Everyone here is all blessed to be together in this opportunity to hear at least 4.5 hours a week the transcendental messages coming from the pure devotee. And we have Sweta C. Saxena in Ethiopia with us. We're all over the world here. Is your microphone working, Mataji? You could share some of your realizations today on today's reading and discussion with us. Sweta C. Saxena. Maybe her microphone's not working. Okay. So we're moving to the end of the program. We want to thank everybody. Yaśodā, maybe you could share a few thoughts before we enter into the last phase of the production, the chanting of Hare Krishna with Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, well, I just want to point out here that occasionally devotees have come back to us and say, why do you keep going on this same point again and again about not changing the books and not changing the instruction and trying to criticize other devotees and this and that? Now, here's the point. Prabhupada often explained the danger of changing the message, changing the teaching, adulterating the instruction. We were in Calcutta one time in his room, and there were a couple of very nicely dressed Bengali gentlemen. Now, as everybody knows, in Calcutta, there's a very famous sweet shop called K.C. Das. K.C. Das is the most famous rasgulla shop in Calcutta, in Bengal. They have the best rasgulla. Somewhere or other, they have the recipe to make the best rasgulla in the world, and every day they will sell thousands of them. Why? They never change their recipe. So Prabhupada was explaining how this Krishna Consciousness movement has become successful because he presented the message exactly as it is. And he gave the example of this sweet shop, this K.C. Das sweet shops. Why they are so successful? Because they never changed the recipe, everything original. So there's a very important point here. Like yesterday, somebody sent me some kind of a link to some kind of a bhajan by a devotee. And I replied to this devotee, where is this mantra from? Where is this song from? Prabhupada never sang this song, where it is from. So the devotee says, well, I don't know. So the point is, our success comes in following the instruction, the message of Srila Prabhupada without change, without adulteration, without all the nonsense interpretation. Then everything becomes successful in our lives individually and collectively. Otherwise, it just creates a big mess, a big, big difficulty for everybody. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and so we could all take encouragement to carry on reading the books and hearing the lectures, chanting our rounds, cooking prasadam and distributing it to others. And in this way, you become peaceful as you move forward in time, because time is relentless. It never stops. And if we use our time properly with this process, so encourage other people, everyone, to join us for Srimad Bhagavatam class tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like I said, we have hundreds of classes online on Hare Krishna Society YouTube page. So please go to those. Some of them are getting more coverage than others. But irrespective of that, we're leaving them there as long as the internet is there for future generations to hear the philosophy of Krishna consciousness from the Prabhupada Disciples Association. And this is the goal or mission of this organization. And we've designed an oath of allegiance that we'll be releasing in the near future for you to review and become a part of this wonderful effort that we've started to protect Prabhupada's legacy moving forward into the future. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all of you, and all glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's move to the Kirtan, led by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Chant along and carry the mission of his mercy to everyone. Haribol.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur-bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur-bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur-bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Very interesting discussion today, very interesting.